Welcome back to East Texas Now, as we are continuing to check in with our East Texas News reporter there in Washington, D.C. regarding the Berkshire's Heroes flight. I believe they are at a new location here. Blake, can you tell us exactly where you guys are and what is on the agenda today?
Sure. So on the agenda today, we started off this morning with a visit to the Air Force Memorial. Really amazing memorial, especially in the morning sun. To kind of describe this to you, there are three stainless steel spires at the Air Force Memorial, and they each soar about 400 feet above sea level. It is a really incredible memorial. If you stand in the middle of those spires and you look up, first off, you should probably be holding on to something because you'll get a little dizzy. But it's a great place that overlooks the Pentagon. You can see the Capitol from there, the Washington Monument. It's one of my favorite views of everything there is to see in Washington, D.C. As you can see, we are no longer at the Air Force Memorial. We have made our way over near Dulles International Airport. This is the Udvar Hazy Center. And what this is an annex of the Air and Space Museum. So, of course, you have the Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. proper, but they have so many planes and different types of aircraft to show off that they had to open an annex. And so this is kind of part two of the Air and Space Museum. And this is always a treat for our veterans, especially those who maybe were in the Air Force and familiar with some of these warplanes. And they've got an incredible collection here, not only warplanes, but as you can see, jetliners, the Boeing plane here. They've got the original model for the 737, I believe. And then this aircraft back here, this is where I really wanted to kind of start our tour. This is the Enola Gay, and this is an aircraft that anybody who's familiar with World War II is definitely familiar with. This is one of the most sophisticated aircraft and bombers of that era, and they call it the Enola Gay. And this is the actual thing. This is not a replica. It's on display right here inside the museum. Our veterans, you're probably saying, okay, I see Blake, but I don't see any veterans. I did kind of move ahead a little bit. Our veterans have kind of broken off into their own individual groups. There is so much to see at this museum, so they're going to try and kind of delegate where different people are going, make sure they each get to see what they want to see. Because again, there are so many different types of aircraft here relevant to different conflicts and different years. And so depending on which war the veterans served in or the years they were in the service, they're going to want to see certain types of aircraft here at the Udvar Hazy Center. And something else, this is not military related necessarily, but they've actually got one of the space shuttles in the back of the museum here as well. And then something pretty cool that I don't know if I have time to get over there. I'll just keep walking. We'll see where we end up. But they also do restoration projects here on site. And on trips past, this has been something that the veterans have really enjoyed. There's this giant, it's the size of a warehouse, and basically it's a center where the folks here at the Udvar Hazy Center restore all of these old types of aircraft because, you know, they don't just show up in this condition. Oftentimes they come here and they have been in battle, they've seen the war, and so they have to restore them back to their original state or as close as possible. And so in the back here, there's actually a center, and behind glass, you can look and see them working on this aircraft, restoring aircraft. And it takes a long time. It's a long process. And so they're able to kind of pull back the curtain and see it. I mentioned the space shuttle. That's one of the things on display here. I'm walking towards the Space Shuttle Discovery right now, and I'll give you a glimpse of that. To kind of run down the rest of the day's schedule, as mentioned, this is day three, the final day of the Brookshire Super One Foods Heroes flight. The plan from here is we will be flying out of the airport. We're going to have lunch first, but we'll fly out of the airport. We're going to drop off our veterans in Little Rock, Arkansas, because mind you, this is a split trip. We have veterans from our home there in East Texas, and then we've got veterans from Little Rock, Arkansas, which is another market served by the Brookshire Grocery Company. So we'll drop off our veterans in Little Rock, and we're supposed to be arriving at Tyler Pounds Regional Airport around 6 o'clock this evening. And we will have a welcome home ceremony, from what I understand. Family and friends will be there to greet the veterans, which is always a really emotional moment. And something kind of a surprise. I hope none of the veterans are watching. They're too busy on the tours. But there's going to be a surprise on the airplane this afternoon. Letters from family and friends. Mail call was really important to these men and women when they were in the service. And there's going to be a mail call, 30, 40,000 feet in the air this afternoon with those letters from their friends and family. That's always an emotional So we've made our way here to one of the premier exhibits here inside the Air and Space Museum, the Udvar Hazy Center. Again, the annex. This is the Space Shuttle Discovery, and it is huge. I'm trying to find something to scale there. This isn't very good because it looks like I have a really big head. But this is the Space Shuttle Discovery. Really fascinating. This entire room is filled with different types of spacecraft and artifacts related to NASA. And man, it's just impressive as you get closer and closer to really realize and recognize the size of this thing. And at the same time, all of these little panels. You know, when you see images of this or you see it on TV, it looks like it's just painted white or painted black. Well, obviously, this thing's going into space, so it's not going to be like your car. These are all little panels here, and I wish I knew more about spacecraft. I wish Lane Lucky was here. He would be able to tell me all kinds of stuff about this. But this is one of the things the veterans are going to have the opportunity to see again here at the Air and Space Museum Annex. So we're having a lot of fun on day 3. This is kind of one of our more relaxed days. You know, day 1 started bright and early with the opening ceremony, landed in D.C., met by Congressman Moran and the TJC Apache Bells, which was excellent. And then we got that police escort to the Capitol, the private tour of the Library of Congress, the first time we've ever done that on the Berkshire's Heroes flight. Had the private night tour of the U.S. Capitol on Monday evening. And then, yes.
You're not allowed to use tripods.
I was told I could bring the tripod in, I just couldn't extend it.
It is not allowed.
Okay. They're telling me I can't use the tripod.
Right.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you. All right. Miscommunication here at the Udvar Hazy Center. Sometimes the veterans groups, we get to bend the rules a little bit. So maybe since I'm not with the hero, she didn't recognize that. But that's okay. I won't use the tripod.
That's what
Where
it
was I?
is. You
Anyway.
had the in there, and then you walked ahead, and it got away from you.
I know. Well, they're coming here behind me, so maybe I can pull it out again. It's okay. My hands are steady this morning. As I was mentioning, this is one of the easier days. Only 2 stops, and then we head off to the airport. So if you're going to be around Tyler Pounds Regional Airport later this evening, maybe around 6 o'clock, stop by and welcome these heroes home. You know, mind you, some of these guys served in the Korean War, the Vietnam War, and they never got a welcome home. They weren't waiting with banners and parades when these guys came home. If you fought in the Korean War, it was overshadowed by World War II. A lot of people wrote it off as police action. And the veterans came home to a country that was reluctant to recognize them for what they did. Then the guys and gals who served in the Vietnam War, they came home to anger and disgust. There were no hugs and kisses from the general public. If anything, there were middle fingers and slurs. And so if you're at Tyler Pounds this evening or in the area, come by and give these heroes a welcome, the welcome that many of them never received all those years ago.
Absolutely, Blake. We look forward to your coverage there in that welcome home and the report of the emotional moment of mail call up in the air. Blake Holland, once again, live in Washington, D.C. We'll talk to you a little later.